And it's really not about us listening to what I want to listen to. It's about selling drinks, dancing, singing loud, everybody getting drunk and having like a good night. And I totally like, given everything we're talking about aside, I do operate on that level.
I'm Adam, by the way. Thank you so much for doing this.
Zach, dude, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man. I really do.
No, this is awesome. I'm a huge fan of the music you're doing now, and of course, Man Overboard as well.
Man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. This is about you and your journey in music and how you got to where you are now. I don't know if you mind touching on the Man Overboard stuff, or if you want to just leave it out altogether.
No, if I don't mind.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I definitely want to get to talk about my new stuff, but I don't.
Oh, no. I definitely want to talk to you about your new stuff, but since it is probably a big portion of your musical journey, I would love to just kind of touch on it a bit.
Dude, and I know it's so early on too with my new stuff. If that's what people are interested in with me and stuff, if that's what people want to hear about, that's okay.
No, we want to hear about both, to be honest. Cool, man. Awesome. Well, I guess first off, talk to me about where were you born and raised?
Mount Laurel, New Jersey is a town about 15 minutes outside of Philadelphia. I grew up where people love diehard Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, even though it's technically New Jersey. Philadelphia is backed up against water. So
okay.
So the other side is a river. You know what I mean? One side of Philadelphia is a river. On the other side of that river is New Jersey. So we never really, we're too far from New York to have ever, we're still in that shadow of Philly, and we never liked the Giants, so we never, like the Yankees are really related to like New York culture at all. It's very, even though it's New Jersey, it's the Philadelphia suburbs.
Interesting. Okay. So
That's
I'm so unfamiliar, especially geologically with the East Coast, because I'm from the West Coast. I'm from San Diego originally. So I know California, but and I recently moved to Nashville, so I'm trying to learn a lot more about the East Coast and proximities and everything.
Yeah, Philadelphia is, there's no East Philadelphia. There's West Philadelphia, and then Center City, and then there's a river, and then
Interesting.
Yeah, so then when you would cross that bridge, that's New Jersey. So I'm from like these suburbs right over those bridges.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, basically you're in Jersey, but essentially people from your town claim all the Philly sports.
For sure. And like when you grew up in my town and you get your license, you can get to Philly in like 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. So that's the big go, right? You're not going to go down to New York City because that's probably a bit.
Hour and a half. That'll be like 2 hours. When you're
sure.
That's way more of a thing to pull off. Like we have Philadelphia like right here. So that was for shows and stuff too, for music and stuff. It was Philly for us.
Okay. What about like how far away is like where Princeton and stuff is?
From where I was born, like an hour. I'm more south.
Okay, so it is quite far down.
Yeah.
I'm so just ignorant to it. Because like when I think of Jersey, I think of like the Jersey. I mean, then in the sound of your band, like that whole Jersey Saves a Day scene. Yeah. But that doesn't sound like that's anywhere near where you were.
A little more north than we are too. South Jersey gets a weird. It's misunderstood. South Jersey is misunderstood. I think that, in my opinion, and I'm speaking as someone from South Jersey, I think North Jersey is understood. I think North Jersey is what you all think when you think New Jersey, and South Jersey's it's a lot of like. It's like I said, there's Philadelphia and then some suburbs. And then if you keep going west, if you were to keep going east, there you got Philadelphia, then some suburbs, then farms, and then the beach.
Okay.
Like it's mostly South Jersey, a lot of farms and a lot of the beach.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think he's from at least his day was from Princeton area, I believe.
Yeah, they're from like a little more north too, but it's still a similar vibe when you look at it on this grand scale of the whole country, and you're touring or whatever, you meet other kids from New Jersey, you're still like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Of course. Cool, man. Well, yeah. So growing up there, you said you would go to mainly see shows. You'd go across to Jersey then.
Yeah, we would go to Philly. Yeah.
I mean, Philly. Sorry. Now I'm getting myself confused here.
Yeah, like anything from, even if like when you're a little kid, when I was a little kid, if it was a band like like a child, I loved like in elementary school, I was obsessed with The Offspring, and I
Oh,
loved
sure.
11, and I loved Sublime, and like that stuff. So like if like a big band was coming and I wanted my dad to take me to the concert, I knew that it was like that was the Philadelphia date. That
Was the one you'd see.
yeah.
Sure.
Or I knew too because my dad's an avid music listener, so I knew that he was bringing me to his. I knew that we were going to concerts in the same building we were seeing the Sixers.
Oh, okay.
Like it's just like it's Philly. My music is, and then when I got a little older and you get into more like going to shows, and like you're like a teenager and stuff, it was the same thing. Like I'll go in Philly, I'll see them when they're in Philly. I'm not going to
Okay.
for that. Like you know what I mean?
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Well, speaking of that, how did you get into music? Your dad was just an avid listener, but was anyone else in your family musically inclined at all?
Musically, yes, but
Okay.
my dad's an avid listener. Yes to everything. My dad's an avid listener. My mother, I get my voice from her. She could sing really good, really well. She's from Canada. She was born and raised in Montreal. She used to sing like on radio shows and stuff in like the 60s in Canada and stuff when she was like a kid and a teen or whatever. She has a really good singing voice to this day. And my sister has a master's degree in theater, and
Oh, wow.
for a living, my sister owns a after school program where kids do extracurricular theater. Like maybe they're in the school play, but they want more like travel soccer or something, but like for theater kids, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So that's what so she's very musical. She can also sing and play guitar. I mean, play piano. But my dad was into like rock music. He can play. He has a drum kit. He messes around on, like, but he's like super avid, like knowledgeable, like fan who loves music and raised me like that. And he's into like rock music, and I think uh was probably honestly my first influence as far as like musical taste was my dad. It had to be
Mm-hmm.
for a lot
Wow.
of people, right? But like he was really liked his music. Like he was one of those people. He was like, my dad was a cool guy when he was like, not that he's not cool anymore, but like when I was like 5 or 6 and my dad had a little boy, he was still like a hip dad. He liked, you know what I mean? He liked current bands. He liked like new stuff. He knew what was
Uh-huh.
cool. Like in the early 90s, my dad's like, oh, Bush, this band Bush is going to be like huge and stuff. Like he was like cool. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yeah.
Like,
He was still, yeah, knew kind of what was happening.
what was up?
Exactly.
So I was
Wow.
with like a dude who kind of knew what was up and would buy me. He hung out at a record store on Sundays back in like the late 90s and mid and late 90s. And I would go to the record store with my dad. The owner was his friend. And they would like just, bullshit for a couple hours or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be walking around the store. And while my dad's talking to the guy, I'd be picking out, we'll grab the Offspring, I grab Bush, anything, ICP, something that looks like, you know what I mean, bad, anything bad. And my dad wouldn't like check it out. Not that I think he would have cared, but so every Sunday I'd bring it up to the counter while my dad's done talking to his friend, and he'd be, oh yeah, we'll take these too.
Oh, cool.
So I got like 5 new. I remember my babysitters being like, you have more CDs than I do. Like that. Like it was, he really made music available for me.
That's incredible. What was the first instrument you learned how to play?
The drums.
The drums. Okay. How old were you and started playing drums?
Yeah, like technically really young, like before kindergarten, I would sit in it. We had it in the house.
Oh, you have a drum kit.
Yeah, really nice drum kit in our house my whole life. So
Who played it?
my dad's friend had a baby and was like, I can't have these, and that's the story, how the story I've been told. And then my dad was like, oh, we'll take them, like that.
Sure.
Like that's sick. So then we just had them in the garage. My dad, I think, had them with the intention of he would mess around on them sometimes, but it turned into something that I did every day.
That's so cool.
And then they bought me then they were like, then I got drum lessons and stuff. By the time I was like 7 or 8, I was like going to lessons for drums, and they had bought me like a new kit. I wasn't playing like the old garage ones that my dad had more, and they were really like supportive of me playing drums. And yeah, it all started with drums.
How long did you play drums? Did you play drums up like, were you actually in like the school like marching band or anything like
Yeah,
that?
well, it's not marching band, but like the orchestra, like the
Okay.
band where everyone's on stage, the like concert band or whatever. And then
Hmm.
um what happened, dude, like honestly was like I still enjoy playing drums. I love that I can play drums and I do it to like demo my own stuff and
I was gonna
whatever.
say it's probably pretty useful.
I picked up guitar out of being like I knew I wanted to. I was only like 12 years old or something, and I knew I wanted to like write songs, and I knew you didn't do that on drum. And that's like was the that's what made me be like I got it. I'm a guitar player.
Mm.
And it was weird though because I was only like 11 or 12 making this decision, and I had all this support of being a drummer in my life from adults, teachers. I played drums in a talent show. All the older kids on my street, like, oh, that little kid is really good at drums. Like, it was like a really big sense of like self-worth as a child and why I felt like okay about myself. But
Yeah,
as
probably a big identity for you, it sounds
yeah,
like.
identity. So it's funny. I didn't think of it then. Now, as an adult, when I think back, it's crazy to me that I was just like, yeah, no, I gotta play guitar.
Right. Well, what I think is interesting, and I'm wondering if you had this similar experience, like when you, as the drummer, a lot of people go right to guitar, right? I'm going to play the guitar. I want to be the singer. I'm going to play guitar. And the drummer always has like the pick of the litter when it comes to, because not a lot of people play drums. So if you kids are starting bands around town, I'm sure you could decide if you're, it sounds like you're good, like who you want to play with, right? You can be like, oh, those guys are trash. So I'm not going to play with them, but I want to play with these kids. And you can kind of pick and choose more so than if you're just another guitar player or a singer.
I agree with that 100%. Drummers have if you're a good drummer, you have the power. They're the hardest person to get because it can't, as an instrument, it can be taught, but not quite like the other one. There's a degree of it can't be taught
Right.
that the other instruments don't have. You can say you can't be taught to play guitar like that, but I can teach you to play guitar. There are some
Mhm.
people that we just can't teach them to play drums.
Right.
You
No, I
can't.
completely agree with you.
But that's
And
what
it's
it is. You know what I mean? You can give your friend a bass and you can give your friend a guitar. You can be like, this is a power chord and play it really simple. You know what I mean?
mhm. But
Can't
you can't say, here's a drum kit, like just
yeah,
start
you
beating
can't
on it because
fake
you
it.
it'll sound atrocious if you just try to make a beat. Like
Exactly.
that's what's so interesting to me. It's cool. Like I love talking to people that start off in drums because I'm not a drummer, and it's one thing I wish I would have done that in piano. Not that I'm a great guitar player by any means or anything like that, but my son is 6, and we got him a drum kit when he was 5, 4.5, almost 5. We got it right when COVID was going on because he's got like a bunch of energy, and I'm like, well, here you go,
Yeah.
beat on this. And we got the electric kit, so the whole neighborhood wasn't pissed off at me.
Yeah.
But he loves it. I mean, we moved to Nashville. He's got lessons now, and
Well, you're in the perfect area for him to have a little musical childhood.
right. So I just kind of threw him on that, and I'm stoked that he enjoys it because he really does like it. And like when we saw like a school orchestra or band doing something, he was like mesmerized by like the snare drum player and all this. So I was like, cool. Like he actually likes it. It's not just like me being like, well, if you want to play music someday, at least you'll be able to play with anyone you want because you'll be the guy that everybody desires.
I'm sure that it could be like me where drums got me playing with other musicians. It got me in front of an audience. Drums got me thinking about the structure of songs. It's and ultimately, if my point is, if your son could have a musical journey in life where he plays the xylophone, but it still starts with, or where he plays the violin, but it still starts with this
The
drums
drums.
now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like because if he wants to play guitar later in life, at least like you did, right? Okay, I want to write songs. I'm going to play guitar. I'm going to sing. But it's well, you still know how to play drums, and I'm sure. I know that that's obviously been so helpful for you throughout, your career then too, because you can.
Degree of trust I feel like too that I might not have had, like another 11-year-old might not have had, being like, mom, like I I need like an actual guitar. I need a good guitar. Like I know I don't play guitar, but just like trust me. Like I need like a guitar. I'm gonna get good at it. It's like,
right.
they've been listening to me play the drum kit every day for the last 6 years. They're like, I believe them. You know what I mean?
Right. They know that you're gonna take the time to continue
My
to
dad told me
enjoy it.
because I like, at some point I've thanked him for supporting me at somewhere. And my dad has told me as an adult, we never worried about like, if we had to shell out money, well, not that I'm from a super rich family or anything, or a super very middle. And he said, if we ever had to shell out money or something for your music, we did not worry about it. We knew
Right.
that was clearly like money well spent.
Sure. That's so cool to have such supportive parents too, and not be like, yeah, that's cool. Like, you're not going to do anything with that. We're not going to support that. Or you
No,
need to be
that's
playing
terrible at school.
football, or you know what I mean?
I mean, I wasn't good at, I was like a little antisocial sometimes, and I had friends and stuff, but like I got kicked out of my high school. Like I did not, it was like a blessing for my grandfather. Probably the only reason he could not worry about me at night was that I was like good at instruments at
Mhm.
times, like my teenage years. You know what I mean? I think that was like a thing too. They were like, that's gonna be your way out. That's how you're gonna be like, okay. I realize now that's how they like looked at me a little bit. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, but they knew that you had obviously talent in that aspect, like that. This is going to be something that you can do
Yeah.
like long term.
And even like I had dinner with a neighbor of a childhood neighbor of mine. This lady was like, used to babysit me and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, we always knew you were going to do music. Everybody knew you were going to do music.
That's so cool.
Like since you were little. And I'm like, that is nuts.
That is so rad though. So you were playing drums, and then you said 11 you started wanting to learn guitar?
Yeah, because I really started to idolize frontmen, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
It's not totally like I have an artistic urge to like sing my songs and my feelings and stuff, but I also have this like Patrick Bateman like psychopath. Like I was a little kid mesmerized by like MTV, and I was like, I want that. Like I want that. Not like being a drummer will be cool too, but I want that.
Right.
I want to be Axl Rose, or I want to be Kurt Cobain, or I want to be. That's like, this is me thinking as like a child. You know what I mean? I want to be the guy in the front of the stage with a guitar singing, and then I have a music video. Then we're on MTV, and then I'll play concerts and stuff, and I'll do guitar solos, and I'll get to walk around. This is how I used to think about it too when I was 11. If I'm the drummer, I can't walk around the stage, and if I play guitar, I can walk around the stage. And also, I just knew, which isn't true at all. Like if you were listening to this and you're the drummer of a band and you write the songs, there's a million great bands like that. Or you're the singer or something, there's a million great bands like that. But I was 11 years old. I did not.
Right.
So I was like, I have to be the singer of a band. I have to learn guitar and I have to write songs.
And in most cases, though, during those times too, on television stuff, the singer was the guy in the interviews, was the guy getting the most attention, and that's just kind of what it was.
It was like the mid 90s. That's when I was like a little kid, probably around your son's age, watching everybody on TV and huge rock bands and stuff. You know what I mean? And then before that, it was like, if I was born into a world of like I said, I remember everything. I remember because of my dad. It's because of my dad. I remember Def Leppard and Guns N' Roses and that era of music and stuff. Even though I was like infantile, they're like my first memories are like hearing Def Leppard, like my dad listening to it. So it's like I just had this rock and roll like thing in my head as a kid that like you're not gonna be you gotta shoot for the stars, and you can't do that behind the drums for some reason.
Right. No, I completely see where you're coming from, especially when you're that young. You know what I mean? Like that's.
I was a child, yeah. I was
Sure.
a child. It was like pre-pubescent child.
Right, because now I look at a guy like Travis Barker, and he's like the biggest thing on the planet. He's the drummer.
And I really think, and I understood that there were drummers I idolized. I understood you could be a famous rock star drummer, but I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to write songs. That was like the other half of it.
Sure.
I wanted to write I wanted to be the singer, you know, and I felt funny. I even had a local band when I was like 5th grade where I sang some of the songs and I was the drummer.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
and people were like, "That's so cool, the band with the singing drummer," and I was always like embarrassed by it.
That
Like,
is cool. There's not many bands that do that, right?
but you're like in 5th grade or something, and you just want to be like cool. You want to show all the kids on TV that, I mean, you want to show all the kids at school that like you know about cooler stuff than them.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go up there and look like Blink or Offspring or something, not like a singing drummer.
Not the Eagles.
Be like Davey Havoc or something. Like I don't want,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah, no, I get it for sure. Like, were you ever, oh, you, never mind. You just answered that question. If you played drums in a band, you
Yeah.
literally just said that 2 seconds ago. But when do you start writing songs and then form a band that is you singing and playing guitar? Or when do you start showing people the songs that you're writing?
That's a pretty good question. I started showing people stuff I was writing in like middle school.
Okay.
And yeah, I was pretty unbashful about it, I think. I was like, yo, I have an original. Let's play. I had a band, me, Justin, who went on to be in Man Overboard. I'm talking 7th grade right now. And this kid, Tyler, we had a 3-piece pop punk band called Star 69.
That's funny.
Yeah, we were in 7th grade. I was the drummer of Star 69, I think. But yeah, I was. But the kid, it was supposed to be Justin, this kid Tyler singing, and I remember being like, thinking like, I don't know, like, you guys want to hear a song I wrote? And then it was like, give me the guitar. It goes like this, boom, and then that like fell apart or whatever. And then I think like when high school started, me and Justin have been in a band together from 5th grade all the way to Man Overboard.
Wow.
So then we started a new band in high school where me and him together, like he agreed with me, like, you're just gonna sing and play nothing. Because now we were like 14, no, well, yeah, we were 14 or 15, and we were discovering like Saves the Day, Can't Slow Down and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, dude, like we gotta just be like cool, like let's
get be Chris the Day.
Like, we're done doing anything that's like lame.
Right.
Starting now, we so it was like we understood that like we played with hardcore bands and stuff. That band was called The Front Page. We did pretty good for like what we were. There's footage on YouTube from 2005 of kids like going off in like Massachusetts, like 50 kids or whatever. But like we were from New Jersey and we were high school kids. It was pretty sick.
That's cool. And, I mean, to play up there, right? I mean, to actually
we went
do
on
it
tours during
yeah.
winter break or summer break or whatever, like a lot of bands do. I think at that age we would go on tour. But yeah, to answer your question, it was a band called The Front Page. We started it pretty much in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And Wayne from Man Overboard also ended up joining The Front Page before The Front Page broke up. And Front Page breaking up kind of was the same thing as Man Overboard forming. It like melded. It was like one kind of thing. Joe, our drummer, Man Overboard's drummer, Joe, and Nick from Man Overboard, they had one band. And then me and Justin and Wayne had Front Page. Their band was called A Sense of Belonging. And A Sense of Belonging and Front Page just kind of fizzled out each. And then the remaining guys were Man Overboard.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really oversimplifying it, but like that's not.
No, but yeah, no, that makes sense. Was it because the 4 of you, like essentially, or 5? It was 5 of you, essentially, like you knew like this is it. Like we're only going to pursue music, because I know like around that adolescent age, or like when you're getting out of high school into college, people are like, oh, you know, I'd rather just go to blah 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 school and get a degree and this and that. And whereas maybe you guys were like, no, we're gonna do this music thing. Or did you go to school?
I think it's mostly that what you just said. We did. We all not all we like started school. None of us finished.
Okay.
The band got in the way of any of us finishing college, but we like had our foot in the door, took classes part-time. Justin was a full-time student at Drexel, but his major was music industry, and he was getting credits for all this stuff we were doing.
Oh, that's rad.
It was rad for him. And then some of us were like part-time um, in school and stuff. But yeah, it was really what you said. Like we knew, I mean, there's like a question of talent slightly, not like if it was like, you know, the 80s and you're putting together a hair metal band and you're like, we need a guy who shreds. Like no one needs to be that like good, but like you needed to be able to play. So you take that into account. And then after that, like, yeah, who's serious? Who's trying to like do this? Like you fit in this band. Yeah, that was 100% our mindset. You fit in if you understand that we are not playing games.
Right. Yeah. This is like, we're actively going to pursue this as like, we're going to do it.
We're going to go broke pursuing this. We are fully intend to financially drive ourselves into the wall doing this because I'm 20, I'm 19, you're 21, like whatever. Let's just do it now. Let's ruin our lives now. We're fully prepared to ruin our lives over this. Like that's pretty much what it was.
Sure. No.
And if you're scared of that, then yeah, you can't do it.
You're not Man Overboard material.
Well, I just don't think you're material for any band.
I'm just kidding. No, I completely agree. I've done over 1,000 interviews for this podcast, and that's one of the biggest thing is just like that I've heard. You know, it's keep going. Yeah, you're gonna struggle. If this isn't exactly what you want to do forever, then you just get out now.
Yeah, and then you trust that, you know, your songs or your band or your project or your podcast or your television show, whatever you have, you trust that it's good enough that if you don't give up, the only thing that can stop you is you. If you don't give up, it will work itself out. It will work. If you don't give up, it will work. When you have the mindset that the only thing that can stop you is you giving up, then I think you're in the right mindset. For like any jam bands, it's like I said, for like what you do, for anything like where not even creative, for anything where you want to go out for you. Even if I wanted to start my own accounting firm, something or a lot, like if you're going out for you and you think that you can do it, you just got to get in the mindset where it's like the only thing stopping me is me.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. And so once this band starts, or once Man Overboard starts, how quickly with the fact that you had two other bands that kind of came together, like were you guys pulling a decent amount of people and then, you know, combining the two bands, did you kind of have a fan base, or was it like, okay, we're starting here from scratch? And how quickly were people latching on to the new band?
It was kind of like we're starting from scratch in our eyes, but people remembered our bands and it was a tight-knit little scene. But what really helped us was Myspace.
Oh, okay.
It's incredible. Like we had fans and we were pretty fortunate. Our early shows, people sang along, and I just remember being really stoked. Like a good amount of people were coming out pretty quickly for Man Overboard, but it was I credit that with Myspace, and I credit Myspace with that, and also us, because not like saying our music was so good, but me and Nick and Wayne used to, and this is in the days where people would burn, like towards the end of being able to burn a CD, we would burn copies of our own songs. And then I remember doing it like at Census Fail, Saves the Day. We would burn like 300 discs. Me, Nick, and Wayne go to our boy Jim's house, smoke like 5 blunts and burn like 300 Man Overboard CDs. Then we sit there, write all of a Man Overboard demo, 2008, throw them in a book bag, go waiting outside Saves the Day. We know they got like 2 songs left. We didn't go to the show. We don't care. We love Saves the Day, but it was too, life ain't about going to concerts right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That was $13 you needed to burn those CDs.
Yeah, we're not doing that, right? That's not what life's about right now. So we wait outside with the book bags full of CDs and we gave them out. We never asked for $1.
Wow.
We were crazy about it. We had attitude too. I would talk to you like this: you want a copy of my band CD? It's free. Most people would take it. And if you said, no, I'm good, I'd go, all right, fuck you. Nobody. We didn't. I'm sorry. I don't know. Can I like curse or whatever?
Oh yeah, dude, you can do whatever you want.
I would go, all right, fuck you. Because I was nobody. We were, who cared? You know what I mean? Suck it. Oh, you don't want a free CD? fuck you. You know what I mean?
Right. Wow. And now people are probably so like, how many people you told like that didn't want the record that are fans now, right? And then you're like, oh my God, I wish I would have just got that once, you know?
I have had people come up to me and say, you gave me a free Man Overboard CD, like in a parking lot somewhere, and I've been a fan since. And I'm like, that is so cool. You know what I mean?
That is rad. That's like what yeah, exactly. I think that's something that's kind of getting lost is the, you know, people coming up to you and being like, here's my CD, like please check it out.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like the only reason I bring up that I would like tell people to screw themselves and shit is because, well, sometimes when people ask me, I've told people to do things like that. People don't want it. People don't want it. I'm like, just force them to take it. Like, what do you do? What? You're not representing a church or your school right now. Like, it's you throw it at, but literally wing it at their head. Who cares? What are they gonna put it on TikTok? It'll be funny. Like,
right.
Attention. Yell at people. Most people are gonna. If you don't do it at like the supermarket, go to a Saves the Day show. Go to a Census Fail show. That's what we did. Go to where you think people are gonna want it.
Right. People in your demographic are
it's not like we went to like, you know, Republican conventions and tried to give it out. It was like we were at emo shows and like,
yeah,
hey, I'm in a pop punk band. Would you like our demo? It's free. 9 out of 10 people are like, yeah, thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And with that, you said MySpace also played a big part. Was that just off adding people as friends and then your song started getting streamed a lot? Like, how did you start seeing success on MySpace?
We had a lot of friends, and we had a lot of MySpace friends. So then, and we had MySpace, you know, remember had the songs. You could upload songs.
Yeah.
A lot of people had Love Your Friends Die Laughing on their page. And that really helped. That really helped set that song up, I think, for us. And for me, I just remember that, like, if I was playing a show back then and thinking, wow, you know, there's a lot of people here. I'm like impressed by us, but I would think, well, you know, we have however many, I don't remember, 20,000, 30,000. I don't remember. I would think about all the MySpace friends we have. Mm-hmm. And I would go, maybe it's not that crazy that this many people came here tonight. Like, you know what I mean? So I think I always looked at it like, yeah, that's where they hear us. That was because there was no like Twitter or Instagram or anything quite yet. Or there was
right.
Like, there was Twitter, but it wasn't like good.
You know? Yeah, the early 2008 was, yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was probably right around the time that Twitter started, to be honest.
Yeah. And so that was important to me, and everyone could listen to your band. We gave them the CD, but it said we would sometimes put a little label on the CD if we didn't feel like writing on them that just said myspace.com/Man Overboard NJ. That was all you needed to tell people back in those days. It was so cool. And then that's why I miss MySpace, like straight up, because people could listen to your band. People used to just sit on MySpace like in the afternoon and be listening to music on MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Right. I mean, even when Facebook came around and kind of took over in that space, MySpace still stuck around as more of the music platform. I mean, a lot of bands stayed there because it was like it became more of MySpace was for music and Facebook was for like your friends, or what became now everybody in the planet.
But it helped us out a lot for sure. I think it roped, and there was the top 8 things that you could see like the other bands that were like friends with and stuff, and then like it just helped. It made MySpace was the first thing that made you look big before you were necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think we're one of the first. We're part of the first generation of bands that got to benefit from that.
Sure. Do you feel like you got, and because nowadays, I'm just curious, nowadays people like labels and record reps, that's what they are going to, right? Like, okay, how many streams do you have? Yeah. How many TikTok followers do you have? What's your engagement like on Instagram? Like, that's like the go-to now, instead of, okay, this band is rad. They have potential. I mean, there's not a whole lot of money being invested in development of bands. Do you think you saw that at all with the MySpace success? Like, were labels and people reaching out to you based off of your numbers on MySpace at all, or no?
Like people, like the first person from like a bigger band ever like try to be my friend was Buddy from Census Fail.
Oh, wow. That's cool, especially since you're out in front of his show.
Yeah, it was totally because of MySpace though. Like one day it was just like Buddy Nielsen wants to be your friend, and I was like, really? And he was just like, yeah, dude, like Man Overboard is sick, and we should chill sometime, and because he's from New Jersey,
Okay.
and he still lived in New Jersey then. But so it helped in that regard. So then I hang out with Buddy. So then he's like, oh, you know, I'm adding now. Man Overboard has Census Fail in their top 8.
Sure.
Census Fail has Man Overboard in their top 8. Like things like that, like worked to everyone's advantage.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like cool. But I don't think I saw any kind of like writing on the wall or anything. I was just like, I never paid attention to any. I was just
Well, because it wasn't as commercialized, right, as it is now. Now it's like everyone's got. I remember being weirded out when I'd see commercials and it'd be like Target would be like, follow us on Facebook. I'm like, who the hell would, like that? You'd never add Target on MySpace. It was just like, you know what I mean? Like it just because it was cool and it wasn't commercialized. And so the fact that, Census Fail were on your top 8, like that's a huge like flex and everything else, but it was also still cool to have that.
And we were young, like we were the age of Census Fail's fans, literally.
Right.
Literally, we were the age of the kids in their show, in their crowd.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, it was a flex. It was an absolute flex. And everything should, I think, when your band is doing good, feel like there's new flexes as life goes on. But that was like the first one. That was just not like a flex, but like I remember being like, I'm really proud of us that this guy, because I loved Census Fail and listened to them a lot. It was not just like I was like, oh, cool, he's in a big band. Like I loved that band. I loved that band, and so it was like a huge deal to me. I walked around at night. I remember like the summer before Buddy like wanted to like know us, or we were a band, I guess. I remember walking around in my neighborhood that I grew up in, listening to Census Fail on an iPod, and then like the next summer I was like in his car, and like not that he's like, Tiger Woods or whatever, but like it was crazy at that age,
He's Tiger Woods to you at that age. I mean, there's
but like there's a million people that I could tell you the same thing with, where it's like, I'm really fortunate that I've made a lot of friends where it started off as like a mind-blowing relationship to me, where a lot of people like that are just my boys now. But I guess I'm getting to is that he was, to answer your question, he was the first one of those ever. Stuff like that came from MySpace.
Yeah. Well, he obviously validated your band too.
Yeah, Richard and Stephanie, who used to do Drive Through Records, would like talk to me. Never tried to sign us, but like,
wow. And they were like the deal, man.
Yeah,
if you Drive Through was like, they were the cool. They were indie, but they were like beyond indie because they were like endorsed by a major.
Exactly. It's how I got my little 19-year-old like ego about Man Overboard. It was like MySpace or like my swag or whatever, just like a little pep in my step. It made me know we were good. It's super nerdy, right? It's like the corniest thing to say. I'd like get in my room and go on the computer and be like, yeah, look at everybody loves us. Yeah. But like, yeah. A year before I was a senior in high school. What do you want from me?
No, exactly.
Like so it was sick.
No, and yeah, especially you're at that age and you're being, like I said, validated by bands that you looked up to. Like, whoa, like, could you imagine? I mean, it's the same thing to this day. If you were a TikToker and one of the bigger TikTok people was like, followed you, you'd be like, oh my God, like, duh, the day, boom, or whatever. But like that's insane how that kind of relationship formed via MySpace. But like, what would you say then? I mean, you guys got signed to a deal. Like, were you just was the band just progressing and progressing and progressing? Like, tell me like the next, I know maybe Rise Records are signing that first record deal. What was like the next or what was a big milestone that you remember that was kind of another turning point for the band?
They're like, we meet Jesse Cannon and he's a producer and he tells us he wants to record Real Talk. And then we also get tight with Jeff Kazaza, who does Run for Cover Records at the same time. interested in the band. Then that came together. Jesse produced the album Real Talk, and Run for Cover put it out. And then that did really good, and we toured on that for a while. And then Rise Records actually like tried courting us like 3 times, and we were like not interested.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't me. I was interested. I'm giving them credit. That's why I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. It was
no, sure.
It was Justin and Wayne, and they were being like extremely business savvy. In retrospect, I was like very like, what do we
You're
do?
like, where do I sign?
You might sign with them. Relax, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then I'm like, okay. But eventually we did, and we got like a really good deal because of how Justin and Wayne were. They weren't like rude, but they were just, you know,
playing hard to get.
Yeah, they didn't. Whoa, Rise Records! Oh my God, which is like what I probably would have done, you know?
Sure, I mean? Right, as most would, right?
Yes, especially in that era. And they played it kind of cool, and we got the deal we wanted from Rise, and then they put out our self-titled, and they put out everything after that.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's amazing. Yeah. And then obviously you guys you were gonna do the 10-year reunion tour.
Yeah, that was just like COVID stuff.
Yeah, right.
As far as it not happening.
And was it, when do you start this new project? Because obviously I want to talk to you about the new project. I know I told you I wouldn't spend too much time on that, but I love hearing kind of how you ended up getting now to here, and you've got your new, it's a solo project, but it's Zachary Ross and the Divine, correct?
Sure. Yeah, I can give you like a concise, put a little bow on it. So it's like everybody in Man Overboard at the moment. So they started having babies and stuff, and people have other business opportunities and things they want to do with their life. Most importantly, is the best.
Sure.
Thing. Like it's fucking like all sick shit across the board. There's no one from Joe to Nick, Wayne, Justin. There's nobody who's not doing like cool stuff. Mm-hmm. People got stuff they want to do, and we only have so many years on this earth. For me personally, I want to be a guy in a band. That's my thing. So it turned in, it was just kind of like a thing of necessity. Like when Man Overboard wants to do stuff, I'll always be there, and Man Overboard will want to do stuff. And it's like I said, everybody's got other projects and things in life they're focused on right now. But when that's there though, and we'll nurture it, and when there's something we want to do, we'll do it. But in the meantime, it leaves me with a lot of free time and a huge urge to do a lot of things creatively. So I basically had to change my mindset, where it's like, everything is cool with Man Overboard, but that was like this time in my life, and I need to make like a new main band.
Right.
My whole life, it's been like, my whole adult life, Man Overboard's my main band, and then I got side projects. Mm-hmm. It's got I need a now band. It's kind of how it started feeling, and I don't. So I made one.
Okay. You know? No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously life happens. Like you said, people get married, they have kids, and then it's like the touring the country or touring the world, you know, 11 out of 9, 10, 11 months out of the year, it can get to a point.
It took me time to realize too that it was for me. It's like not, it was a thing going on, and you know, I think partially my reaction when they all wanted to do other things was like, oh yeah, maybe I should too. Like, mm-hmm. Right? Because there's a degree where I always looked up to everyone, and Justin's the only one younger than me in Man Overboard. Everybody else is older than me. And like, I'm like, maybe I should get like a real job. Maybe I should try to produce bands. Maybe I should open some sort of business or work at a label, or maybe I should, you know, do something cool. And it took me a few years, honestly, to be like, nah, that's not me. Because it's like, to be real with you, man, there is a thing in your head too. Like, I want stability. I want to be able to have, you know, a family and stuff. So like, you trick yourself, or I tricked myself for a few years into being like, you know, I'm just going to do what I have to do. I worked for Ford, and I was painting cars, like a union job for Ford Automotive, Ford and BMW. And wow. It was really good money, and it was a really good job. And I was like, this is it. This, like, I was, for like a good year, I was like, I'm gonna have a house, a really nice house with a pool and stuff, and I'm gonna work a 9 to 5, and I'll always have my side projects, and I'll rest comfortably and sleep sound knowing that Man Overboard was banging. And like, it took me a couple years to be like, nope.
Right.
Just as much as this is not them, this is not me. You know what I mean? Like, this is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. Like, straight up. You know, yeah. I have a great job. This is me like a couple years ago. I have a really good job, a sweet brand new car, enough money, and I'm like depressed. I can't bear the thought of going the rest of my life like this. And it's like, we need to make a new band, boys. So I kind of just got like my tightest musician friends from like right now in life, and we're the band. They're the band.
Wow. And were these songs that you had been writing over the course of the years, or were they songs that you would have, maybe pitched to a Man Overboard if you guys were so active? Or
it's a good question. We have an EP that comes out at the end of this summer. Half of it, 3 of the 5 songs were written for Man Overboard.
Oh, interesting.
2 of them were written after I knew this is how it was going to go. So 3 of them were written over the course of like the last 3 years. 2 of them were written in the last 3 months. And once I had like this fire lit under me, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, wow, this is really happening. And it's so partially I'm like weaning you're getting the tail end of like this kind of batch of Man Overboard songs I didn't get to put it out or keep working on, and you probably will for our next couple releases. They'll be sprinkled in there, but like, it's really about like, I still write songs. I still think I write songs that are like, there's in some ways I still think I'm getting better at writing songs. Like, I don't want to be done. I don't see myself, I'm not knocking anyone again, but I don't see myself as one of those dudes who's in his 30s and still always playing my whole set list that I wrote when I was 19. Like, fuck that.
Right.
I know that's never going to be me. Like, you know what I mean? And like, I just have too much of it in me still. I don't feel any less like piss and vinegar than I felt, as far as being like a songwriter, than I felt when I was 18, like, at all. So I can imagine like slowing down. So it's eventually, it is like a new band and new songs, but yeah, there's going to be that initial wave, which I think is going to be cool. You know?
No, and I was going to say, it's still you writing the songs, right? You're not going to just, it's not going to change drastically unless you were like, okay, I'm going to go in this whole different genre or, whatever. But like, even then you would still probably hear a lot of the similarities, obviously, because it's still you behind the songs.
And I sense, you're absolutely right. And I sense sometimes apprehension, like everyone trusts me or whatever, but sometimes people like are different, like our label and my producer, sometimes everybody's got my back at the end of the day, but it'll be a little like scratching their heads at my ideas at first. And I'm telling people like, it's me, it's not gonna sound that different. Like, it's me at the end of the day. So it's my voice. It's a song I wrote. A lot of the Man Overboard songs I wrote. So it's still the same guy. I'm still using that same part of my brain. I'm just a little older. I think it's gonna sound like I'm a little older.
Right, which it should. I mean, if you wouldn't, obviously, even if Man Overboard, if you wrote the same record, if you put out the same record 4 times, it would probably work too. You know what I mean?
Some of these new mixes we have that are like the stuff that we're going to be able to release later this summer, that's more of like the newer kind of sound. It's still, a part of me is like, this is what I would be pitching to Man Overboard in 2022.
Right.
Like, this would be, I wouldn't want to go. It's like I said before, I don't want to be up there. I don't want to spend an hour playing songs I wrote when I was 19 while I'm still banging them out all through my 20s and 30s. I want to play the songs you love, but I want to keep making music, is what I'm saying. And then also, on the same token, I don't want to go up there pretending. I'm not cosplaying like I'm a 22-year-old pop punk kid forever. I'm not doing that. not hiking up my socks and putting on Vans and stuff and like pretending that I still look. I'm not. It was never a costume, so I'm not gonna like put it on now. I need to be me. Is my point, you know? And I think that people like people better when they're them. Artists, friends, whatever.
Yeah, there's something about, yeah, obviously if you were faking it, it's probably pretty transparent. I mean, a
It's like
lot
I
to
said, we
most
weren't
people.
thinking it then. So I know that I would be now to a degree. It's just like my songs sound the same. I'm just not trying to be like this, like go out there and be everybody's pop punk guy. I just don't think that's what everyone should totally expect, but it's still like melodic, poppy, catchy rock
Uh-huh.
music with punk influences. Like, you know,
Sure.
I think
I
I'm
mean,
just
it is interesting to see kind of like this resurgence of pop punk and
yeah,
like that emo style kind of coming back. Like I would have never guessed that in a million years. And what's weird to me is like I grew up on, you know, bands like yours and the or even earlier bands
yeah.
than, you know, I'm 37. I remember going to see Taking Back Sunday before they even had their first record out. Like it's like, you know, seeing those bands play for $5 and then they do a reunion show and sell out two nights in like a, you know, 1,500 cap room where it like stuff like that. And like this When We Were Young festival like being announced, it's like, yeah, that's all cool. But I remember seeing every one of these bands when there was like 7 people there. Like it's for me, not, I just sound like an old geezer, you know, like all disgruntled man, but it's just interesting to see that style of music kind of just do this whole new like wave, especially, you know, with the newer artists who are, a lot of them are even on that festival, which is funny.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest with you, it's kind of like this. I don't know how this makes me sound, but it's kind of like my gripe with this style of music too, or like this scene and this whole world of emo and pop punk and everything. I love it, and I'm thankful for all it's given me, and I'm a really big fan of the music. But I don't it's not ideal to me when something comes in waves. And you could be like, oh,
Right.
everything comes in waves and stuff, but then I'm like, well, I don't know about that really. Like, what about look at like a band like the Killers? Are they concerned about a wave of any
Mm-mm.
nature? Or you don't even have to be that big, but like I can only think of big bands because I'm thinking of like real the Strokes, the Killers, Kings of Leon, bands who make contemporary music and are not concerned about a sub genre of any nature.
Right.
Don't worry about the waves. That's how it's always been in my head. I look at
No,
it's kind of bad.
no, it makes
Like
total
mad
sense.
I'm like
Right.
almost like mad at people when it's not popular.
Yeah. Well, what's weird to
Now it's
me, I
now
mean,
it's cool to make fun of yourself. Have you noticed this? You're like you're supposed to be like all self-deprecating and make fun of yourself for when you liked pop punk.
uh-huh.
Like, why is that the thing?
Yeah, and because now it's cool, which that's what's funny to me. Like I was gonna say is like to me, looking like just again, I'll sound like a disgruntled old man, but like a
Ah,
get off my lawn. But like
both
I
do.
I mean, I remember growing up and being in high school and in bands like, you know, that we just discussed, Taking Back Sunday, Dashboard would come through, Saves the Day, or you know, and I remember going to these shows and my friends maybe that were I had friends obviously that were into that, and it was like this thing that wasn't that cool, like you know, it wasn't the mainstream thing, and now to see it become like this festival that sells out in 10 minutes and people think like yeah, like yeah, again,
Great.
like their pop punk, like their emo playlist consists of like every song that came out when it was already like on the radio. Like make
Yeah,
damn sure from Taking Back Sunday is not something that should be on your pop punk, your emo playlist. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I agree with you. I think all the times I've been booked to DJ and emo night in the past few years has warped my reality a bit. But I know that what you're saying is correct. And it's like,
It
well,
hurts my heart.
at the same time though, it's like I don't want to be a crotchety old guy.
Right.
I don't believe in like hanging on to shit. There's a part of me that's also like, yeah, you know what? Adults are wrong and kids are right about music, no matter what.
Right.
But then I'm just like, I wish that just wish that people weren't so fickle in certain. And it's not. I don't mean to sound bitter because Man Overboard fans are fucking awesome.
Right.
But I'm talking about on a broader scale, like, you know, pop punk's cool for a couple years, then everybody wants to make fun of it. Then it's cool for a couple years, and everybody wants to make fun of it. And I feel like that's the cycle. And then I look at people participating in that cycle, and I'm like, you're the dork. You're the dork here, not the guy in that band.
No, sure, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because I thought, again, I was on the radio for a long time. I don't know if I mentioned it, for like 17 years, and about 8 years ago, I pitched to my program director at the time doing an emo show, like playing emo stuff. And then this is kind of when the emo nights and all that started. Like they weren't yet happening. And first of all, he's like, "You're stupid. No one would care." And then this started happening. I'm like, "See, it's happening. We should do this." And he's like, he still wouldn't budge. But then I had a buddy of mine that would go to those things, and I'm like, and I would just be like, "This would be my list. Like, here's my hour of music." And he even said, was like, "Dude, like these aren't the songs.
Yeah, you can't.
These are too deep cut for the crowd." I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, he's like, "No, man."
I might have deleted it, but let's see if I can pull up for you right now. A few days ago, I deleted a bunch of my playlists off Spotify, but I should have. Oh, here you go. This is an emo night playlist of mine. I'm the DJ, so I can't. Does not represent my tastes really at all. I can throw in my tastes a little bit. Saves the Day at Your Funeral, Timberwolves at New Jersey, Taking Back Sunday, Bite to Break Skin. This is like getting like as best as I can like.
Yeah, I'm listening because I want to see if I can find mine while you're doing.
But then I have to throw in Dear Maria, Count Me In. I have to throw in Swing Swing, even though I mean that song's really good. I have to throw in Blink Anthem Part 2 because I'm like,
that's a great one.
I want to listen to Anthem Part 2 and it's Blink, so you guys will deal with it. Then I try to I'm trying to get away with murder by playing Thursday Understanding in a Car Crash.
Oh, dude.
That's only if we're in New Jersey, I can maybe do that. Then I apologize for playing Thursday by playing The Middle by Jimmy Eat World after that. Then to keep apologizing, I play Fat Lip. Then I play Hands Down, but my thing is I like to play the acoustic version.
Thank you. Because that there was, dude, so I love Dashboard, but when I heard Hands Down with the cowbell, I'm like, I just turned it off. Couldn't.
So then it's like I can throw in Thursday again. Down the line, I throw in Thursday again. But afterwards, where is it? I have to do Cute Without the E. Or after they like Express Yourself Again, but then I have to do I Write Sins, Not Tragedies by Panic at the Disco. Like it's like this tug of war for me, but I get it too, because I don't fucking care. It's not about me proving to these kids what pop punk or emo is, and it's really not about us listening to what I want to listen to. It's about selling drinks, dancing, singing loud, everybody getting drunk and having like a good night. And I totally like, given everything we're talking about aside, I do operate on that level. And like, I understand that mindset a lot. Like, it's very easy for me to go, it ain't about that right now, though, baby. Watch me blast All Time Low and all these people go nuts. It's crazy. And
yeah, no, sure. No, I completely agree with you. Cause then I'm looking at my list and to see the one that I set up to be like actually played on the radio. And even then I had like I'm Not Okay, Ocean Avenue, Crush Crush. But I also had The Promise Ring. Yeah. Why Did We Ever Meet? And like Take It Away and Best of Me. But I also had Understanding the Car Crash.
You get, when you play Promise Ring, you get like one bro who's like,
right. Dude, oh my God. That's so funny that you just said your list, because I wish I could show you. I'm going to try to just share my screen for you for 1 second. I know this interview is kind of going off course. I hope I'm not taking too much of your time.
No, you're good. I just hope I don't sound like a jerk, like I'm crapping on everybody's fun. I get it.
No, it is fun, but it's also fun to speak to somebody that was also on that same.
Well, it's like some people
space. How do I do this?
I also think it's corny when I hear someone closer to our age who's like, "Oh, I'm not going to that emo night thing. That's not real emo." You're like, "Yeah, dude. Yeah, well, you know what? It's not your scene point contest. That's not like what this is about."
Right. Okay. So this was the one I made for the radio station.
Oh my God.
Dude, we had the same one. I even wrote Hands Down off the So Impossible EP. And then I had Understanding the Car Crash. but then I also put in the, but I guess that, you know, I had, because I did an interview here, so I had this whole thing already. But like, I mean, some of these, my buddies, like, there's like 4 songs on here that would go over well. Nothing else would really work.
Yeah, you have to kind of,
You got to play the game.
you gotta
But
play.
anyway,
Yeah, kids, they're not. Some of those kids wouldn't want to go to a show. It doesn't make them bad people, but they want to go to that. They want to go to the casino and drink. And like
right.
a lot of those dudes you have in that crowd might not be super familiar with, you know, the current bands but they were really into it when they were younger, and they're there because there's a lot of ladies there, or ladies are there because there's a lot of ladies there, or guys there because there's a lot of guys there, whatever it is. You know,
Right.
I'm saying people like meeting people, I think, at those events, and it's fun, it's social, it's a party. Really.
Right, exactly. I don't want to say, like I said, I don't want to sound like grandpa, but like, just it's to watch this thing kind of unfold. I'm like, oh my God, like how crazy is that this is happening? But I love that we're on the same page with some of this stuff. It's really cool to hear. Especially somebody that came you in the scene and being like, have such a successful band within it too. It's rad. And I love that I want to back up to your band now, the new stuff that you have coming out. So you said 3 of the 5 songs were older-ish, and the one, "A Light Over Massachusetts," that's the one that I've heard. Is that that's an old one?
Yeah, so that's about Tim from Transit, who passed away.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 2018, I want to say, in February, or it might have been 19, but whatever year it was. I didn't know that I was going to do Zachary Ross and the Divine yet, so I just wrote that song thinking it was naturally. I was like, Man Overboard will pay a tribute to Tim,
Mm-hmm.
and wrote this song. But I don't know, plans just kind of changed. Me and Tim were really close. I think that, like I said, I don't think Man Overboard has plans to put stuff out right now, which is totally cool because we can't get together as a unit. Everybody's too busy. But I can do something on my own or with some other guys. So I wrote that song. It's like it's not like, no, it didn't get to the point yet where other people would have collaborated or anything on it. So it just became, I was like, this is gonna be. Tim would want me to. If he could lend a hand in the new band, he would want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, here you go, baby. You got me this will be the first single. You know
I love that. Whoa. And are the other songs in the record similar to that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That song represents a lot of I mean, it goes different ways on the record, but that song's a nice middle ground because that song has some like pop punk style, but it also has like electronic drums,
Mm-hmm.
which we go, and synths and stuff, which we go to on the record a lot, and we will probably forever. And like yeah, all these extra kind of things that you probably wouldn't hear in a Man Overboard song are there, but then also the elements that you would hear in a Man Overboard song are there in A Light Over Massachusetts. So I think it's like right in the middle. It's like it doesn't go in any extremes that the album goes in.
Okay.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like what the song's about, right? Like some of the songs are about girls, just like Man Overboard. Some of them are about, the rest of them are about like me or a girl. So like they're a lot, not as, this is by far the most serious song on the record, by far. I mean, my friend who passed away, obviously.
Sure.
But like it's the heaviest emotionally, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
figure we just get that out of the way.
Yeah. Is that kind of why you wanted to lead with it?
Yeah, I think so. I think music, I wanted to lead with it because it sounds like a nice blend of my new style and Man Overboard, and that's really it. I mean, because I know that the next single I have picked up is like way more feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So I was left with kind of a choice, is like, do you want to release a really feel good song and then kind of bring it down, or would you rather start with kind of a somber message but then be able to lift the mood after, you know what I mean? So I'd rather, you know what I mean, sad stuff first.
Mm-hmm.
Sad stuff out of the way.
And then then bring people up.
The next single that comes out after A Light Over Massachusetts is a lot happier. We actually, much as I can say is we shot the music video for it last night. I'm like,
Oh, cool.
yeah, like we got home at 5 a.m.
Oh
So
my gosh.
really upbeat song with like a video that has people smiling and stuff in it. So the mood will. So that's kind of my mode of thought. Let's pay homage to my friend and then move on. Want.
I love it, man. Are you gonna play? Are you doing live shows for the record?
We don't have anything booked yet, but we have. We're working. I'm working. Very blessed to be working with my agent that Man Overboard had. So I know that he's excited about getting us out into different cities and putting us on tour with bands that you probably already listened to if you're listening to this. And we are really just focusing on recording right now, but we intend to hit the road at the end of this year. And, it's like I said, this is my main band now. So people have been asking me like, are you going to come to Cincinnati? And I'm like, yeah. Are you going to come to San Jose? Uh-huh. I'm going to come everywhere. Like,
are you coming to Nashville?
Yes, we will go to Nashville.
Okay, cool. Cause that's where I moved to.
Yeah, we will go to Nashville. We will go to, everywhere that we can go because I want this to be what I do again all the time. I don't really want to be home. That's not. I want to be home sometimes, but like, I'm happy as a guy who's home a little bit and on tour a little bit. That's all fine with me. So we're gonna go everywhere. We're gonna play every city, and we're gonna go to every country we can go to. And I swear to you, we plan on doing this band as long as we can and making as many albums as possible.
I love it. I cannot wait because I love the song I've heard so far. So I'm really curious to hear the upbeat one. And like I said, man, I've been a fan of Man Overboard, obviously, for a long time. And it's cool to see that you're back out releasing music, man. Super excited.
Appreciate it, dude. I'm excited too.
I have one more question, actually two, because I'm just curious. What's your favorite pop that you have behind you?
Oh, my best Funko Pop, man. So you can't even see all of them, believe it or not. There's some over here, and there's some over now. I'll break it down for you. Right now, I'm pointing at Disney.
Okay.
Anime. Now I'm pointing at rock stars and rappers.
Okay.
Now I'm pointing at Ninja Turtles. That's all Ninja Turtles.
Oh, sick.
That's all WWE and Marvel and DC.
Okay. I love that. I mean, it's funny you haven't broken down like that. My family, like my wife and I and our kids, like love those things, dude. But we have so many. It's ridiculous.
I think I have about 350.
Oh wow. We have about that. You might have more than me. I got like two gigantic. Like when we moved from San Diego, it was like we had 3 huge tubs that we had just dedicated to fitting them all.
Which kind do you guys collect?
We have my son likes the Marvel ones and the Star Wars ones, and we have a lot of Disney ones. I like the television show, like the nostalgic TV show ones, like the Married with Children and Friends. We have, and then the music ones too. And some of the sports stuff.
My favorite Funko has to be. I have an original. No, my favorite Funko Pop. It's not my most expensive Funko Pop, but it's Sid Vicious.
Oh, that's rad. Okay.
So like insane to have. It's like,
right.
It's an insane Funko Pop to have. They're like really rare. But
I don't have Sid Vicious. I don't. Yeah, with the music ones, I have Blink.
In the box or out of the box at your house?
In the box. In the box. I have for music, I'm trying to think. I have a couple Biggie Smalls ones. I have Morrissey. I have Britney Spears with the snake.
I'm only missing one Britney. And then I'll have.
Do you have the snake one?
I do the snake one. That was the first one I got. I'm looking at it right now. I got Jimi Hendrix, Biggie, Shania Twain, Billy Idol, Blink-182.
I got Blink-182.
Mark Travis, Billy Armstrong.
I have. Do you have the rest of Green Day? I have all Green Day.
I don't have Dern.
Ah, I got Dern and Trey Cool. I think I bought them as a pet collection.
Yeah, Lemmy from Motorhead. I got Bret Michaels.
I have Lemmy.
I got Lil Wayne. Yeah.
Oh, the Lil Wayne one's tight. Is it the big one with the record, the Carter, or is the
He's like, I can show it to you. It's actually pretty new. This is one of the newest. He only came out he's a Funko exclusive that only came out like a few. Let me see if I can get it.
Oh yeah.
He's got a mic stand and a suit on.
That's sick. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it has the crown.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
You know,
Yeah, I have the My Chem one with the Black Parade like album. It's the big one. It's big, and it's like got the guy on it. Do you have? Oh, you probably have it too. You're grabbing it.
Oh no, I'm not. But this is actually what I should have told you. This is my favorite Funko Pop. It's Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction.
Oh, that's sick.
It's one of my favorite records ever. And then these are exclusives. These pops, their faces are painted like they are on the record cover.
Yeah.
Full makeup. So I keep that sits above my computer that I write music on, that I work on music on.
I love that.
Inspiration.
I have a Tony Hawk one that he signed for my son, so that's a cool one too.
That is sick.
But yeah, that's awesome that you have so many, and those are good ones. My last question for you, because I know I've taken way too much of your time up.
Brother, so have fun.
Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Yeah, man, just like everything I said, like go to whatever the equivalent of whatever that when I was talking about just shoving those CDs in people's hands and not really taking no for an answer, whatever that equivalent is now, spam your followers shamelessly, plug your shit. Like, what do you got, 56 followers or something? I'm shooting really low, so maybe a lot of people listening have way more than that. You know what I mean? Like, say you got fucking 20 followers on Twitter. Spam them with your shit. There's only 20 of them. What are you gonna do? Ruin your life? Like, what are you gonna ruin your reputation? You got to go ham, annoy people, and shamelessly promote yourself, and don't listen to people who say that you're like doing basically anything wrong at all unless you see them doing it better themselves. Bringing it backward.